Excellent. Hey, it says we are live. We are live. We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and gays, thems and theys, welcome to the show. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon from Vietnam. Boo, 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 boo. I am D. Ramsey, and I have gone beyond the red pill. Welcome to the show today. Ladies and gentlemen, I stroll the internet as a good old auntie, and from time to time, I run across a channel and I go, wow, what's going on over here? And that's what happened when I found a very provocative new thought leader who has a recent publication. The channel's name is Life Abolitionism. I hope that I'm saying that correctly.
Yes, that's correct.
I have linked it in the description of this video. I also went ahead and downloaded the book, which is an excellent read. I will update this channel to put your playlist. You have a playlist where you've covered quite a few chapters, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Correct.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Jay Charles, the author of the new book, Whose Life Is It Anyway? Am I saying that correctly?
Well, that's correct. It's called Whose Life Is It? The Moral Death for Life Enslavement. So that the original book was published in December, but I just released the Cliff Notes version of it for people who don't want to read the full book.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So I want to first of all thank you very much for agreeing to join me and share your thoughts. I am going to be 58 in a few months, and I had a very strong visceral awakening many years ago. I had very strong events occur even when I was a child. So I have a very intense relationship with a different world. And the movie The Matrix, for instance, had a profound effect on me. And so I've been awake a long time is what I'm trying to get to. So when I hear, and I know that your book is based on other works and is not new, but what I like about it is coming at a historically accurate time where we can see a world where it's actionable for humans to globally take control if they wish to, even if by force, if they have to, control of the sovereignty of their own human bodies or the vessels they're riding in. Particularly for women. I come from the thesis that this world is about locking the woman's body down. All these wars, everywhere they go, they leave the women covered from head to toe. She can't drive because they don't want her clitoris to be jingled. They don't want her to have any pleasure unless it's at the cost of a man. I could go on and on. But your work is relevant today, right now. And I'm so impressed with your scholarship, your thoroughness, and your ability to articulate the argument. So I would first like to ask you, what is your background, may I ask? Like, when were you born historically? I like to place myself, like I said, I was born in 1968. That's incredibly significant in terms of my politics. Where were you educated? For instance, I have some college education, but I'm really autodidact. I didn't even go to college till I was in my 30s. And what was your parental care? I think also, even from an epigenetic standpoint, that has a lot to do with how we create our philosophies. Like, I was a foster child. I call myself a cosmic orphan. So for me, it was destined that I would wake up in this realm and see it as not a peachy keen, perfect place to be. So as my mama used to say, everybody's got a story. Dear Jay, go and tell us yours, please.
Okay, I'm going to try not to dox myself, so I'm going to answer your questions without giving too much information,
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
I am a millennial. I was in the military. While I was in the military, I went to undergrad. I got a bachelor's in political science. Well, I have a raggedy law degree, which I don't use. I have specifically a Juris Doctorate, because I guess people have different, they have other law degrees. I have a Juris Doctorate. I also have a master's in public affairs. I do have an associate's degree in, what is that, in interdisciplinary studies. But I did, most of my education came after I had already finished my education. Even though I have formal education, I consider myself self-educated. My formal education did not serve me well. It was just indoctrination. The things that I talk about on my channel are things that I learned after getting my education. I did not learn how corrupt the system is. Before I forget, I guess I'll answer your last question about my parenting. I grew up, my parents were married when my father was in the military. They separated, and then I lived with my mom and my brother. And then, that was just a completely dysfunctional household. This abuse, this neglect, I don't know. I'm not going to go into detail about my childhood. But then when I was 13, I moved with my father in a nice middle-class neighborhood. He was a covert narcissist. So he was very self-centered, but he was not nearly as abusive as my mother. I did get an allowance. He did give me a car. I had autonomy because he worked a lot. So basically, I was left at home by myself to do what I wanted. I cooked. I got myself to school. I was basically, even though I lived in this house, it was almost like I was an adult because I didn't have anybody supervising me most of the time.
Excellent, excellent. As you were speaking, I was thinking of all of the similarities in our stories just off the bat. One, I also was in the military. I no longer put which branch it is. Most people know if they've been with me a long time, but I don't get into it. Same. Growing up as a foster child, I like to say in my book, I write that foster children are invisible. And I was 12 when I started to realize I was probably smarter than all the adults around me. And I was 15 for sure when I really understood that I was invisible. Like I clung to the Harry Potter series because I could identify with so many things, but that invisibility cloak was something. I said, oh my gosh. So when you speak of having that having that form of autonomy, I think, and even having an abusive mother and a neglectful mother, I find the thread of those who have quote unquote awakened to whatever degree that is for them. There are levels of similarity. So I was noticing them like what are the cracks that he began to see that led him? And again, I usually preface everyone and let them know, hi, my name is Dee Ramsey. My pronouns are ADHD and PTSD. We might go on some side quests and you will get at least 10 references to the movie The Matrix. So here we go with the first one. In The Matrix, once Neo comes aboard the Nebuchadnezzar, that's when he meets the crew. Notice it is a very sparse crew, a very few of them. It is not a whole bunch of people. And ain't nobody dressed well, right? Ain't nobody fancy clothes. Everybody's very drab. They speak a certain language. They've been through a certain thing. It's not the same, but it's similar. But yet they've all awakened. And notice even their different ages. But anyway, I could go on and on about that book, that movie, which was based on the book. So I love also that you're highly degreed, and in you're getting your degrees, you were able to see that not only did it not serve you well, but the indoctrination of formal educations, while it's interesting because for me, it was, again, I didn't go till I was 35 or 30 something, somewhere around here. 30, what the hell? I don't know. But it taught me critical thinking in a way that I hadn't really challenged some of my beliefs prior to that. Yet, because I didn't finish, and I was so much older, I could see, and I also did community college in a couple of states. I like New York City was one and California was another. I could see the indoctrination, particularly the young people, and I was just like, oh my gosh. So you're able to articulate these thoughts so eloquently and lovely. May I ask, when did you come into contact with life abolitionism or any such notion? To be honest with you, until, like I said, I come from a different standpoint as a woman. And I have a whole theses, which my channel, it's funny, I'm actually going to unprivate a bunch of old videos and review them about now and then. But I had never even heard of the term. And then I looked it up because of you. And then I found the gentleman that you've also mentioned. I'm about to ask you about him. When did you come into contact with this philosophy and begin to bring your own thoughts and feelings around it? Specifically,
Well,
life.
yeah, this is actually, it's actually my philosophy. I came up with the term myself. Like I know other people have used the term abolitionism, but this is a specific philosophy, which is a response to enslavement to the state, that the state owns your life. It's a synthesis between antinatalism, pro-mortalism, anarchism.
That's the word. Antinatalism. That's it. Sorry. That, you know what? You're right. That's the word. Antinatalism is the word. I was like, I'd never heard that term. I apologize. I couldn't pull it. That's the word. That's the word. That's the term. I was like, what is antinatalism? So you sent me down a rabbit hole. That's the gentleman. You mentioned a gentleman, so I do apologize. I wanted to correct that. Yes, I apologize. Yes.
I think you're referring to illicit mind. I think is that where you saw it?
I believe you did a video and you were speaking about antinatalism. You mentioned a gentleman. I found him as well, some thinker, white man. But I also started looking
finding gnosis. Maybe that's him. Finding gnosis.
Yes, and then I was looking for women antinatalists, and so I was like, okay. I had never even heard of the term until I found your channel. So when did you come into contact with antinatalism, and what is antinatalism as you understand it?
Okay, well, I guess when I was a child, I always was against procreation, just because I was a Christian and I didn't want anybody to die and go to hell. I thought the only way to prevent that was to not create them in the first place. There were several verses in the Bible which spoke against procreation, even though I know there's that one verse that says be fruitful and multiply. But if you look at Jeremiah and Job, it says that they cursed that they came out their mother's womb. There's other verses which I've mentioned before on my channel, but so I was always an anti-natalist, and I was still a Christian, but I still sort of lamented that there were certain things that I felt were beyond my control, that I felt I was still going to go to hell. I'm no longer a Christian now, but I read David Benatar's book, Better Never to Have Been, probably around 2010, 2011. And then even before that, though, there was another group called the Voluntary Human Extinction Movement. There were the Shakers, which is a version of the Quakers, but they didn't believe in procreation. So sort of identify with them, even though I wasn't really, I didn't really accept the religious part of it. I did know about the Cathars. But once I read David Bentrow's book, Better to Have Never Been, I sort of connected with other people. Like there were just a handful of us on YouTube at the time, and I created my channel, The Anti-Natalist Informant, and then more people started coming to my channel. And by the way, that channel has already been removed by YouTube, so I don't have that channel anymore. But yeah, I just started listening to other people's content, listening to the debates about antinatalism, and really understanding the arguments and really the non sequiturs that are being posited as a response. And so then I was just like, okay, I understand antinatalism is an ethical position that you shouldn't procreate because it does cause harm. But there's also the non-identity problem, which I don't think is a serious problem. The people who object to antinatalism say that you can't be harmed by being brought into existence because you have to exist in order to be harmed. So it's a technical excuse to continue procreating. This was an argument that came from Derek Parfit. It actually had nothing to do with antinatalism. It was about environmental ethics, that if you harm the environment, you're destroying the planet for people who don't exist. And Derek Parfit said, well, you can't harm, they don't have an interest in the world because they don't exist yet. And then people sort of hijacked that and use that as a rebuttal to antinatalism. So I just realized that antinatalism was, I guess it's a starting point, but it doesn't do anything to address the people who are here right now, the people who are suffering, who want the right to no longer exist. It doesn't impose moral consequences, that, the extraction, right? That you exist not for your benefit, but for your parents' benefit and for society's benefit. And it doesn't address the state. So that's why I came up with my own philosophy.
Excellent, excellent. Are you aware, or have you ever heard of the quote unquote UCC birth certificate as a form of cataloging human cargo?
Well, I'm planning on doing a live stream later today. I actually was scheduling at the same time, so I pushed it back. But I'm hoping that some of those people will come on my channel to discuss that, because I've heard many people talk about it, but I don't know that it actually works. I don't know. I've seen these YouTube videos. I've even had friends send me some information about it, and like how to get money off your social security number and stuff. I tried to do it, didn't work. I don't know.
Right. So I love that. Okay. So you are aware. It's an interesting thing about this whole thing. Somewhere along, so I have a thoughts that, we're in a world within a world within a world. We're in Inception / the Matrix, like a mug. And there's like pieces to the puzzle. And like I said, we each figure things out. Even finding that information, even being led to it. Listen to what I'm telling you. Even being led to that is a gateway out of this place. I'm telling you. That is about using your hands, what you have been given, which you know is real, and making the real contract that separates you from the other contracts. And you do that with your hand. You do that with the ink, which is the blood. So when you do something, what they call accept for value, even whether you think it doesn't work, you can still do the things like gather yourself in a documentative, and you have a law degree, because this place is based on ecclesiastical law. So you can write out new contracts. You can also absolve yourself from other contracts. You can collapse that social. It's not about getting money off of it. It's about understanding what has already been provided for you and exiting the system in a particular way. And each is led how to do that. And it takes, what I love so much about your philosophy is it takes the power to say no. It takes understanding that yes, the state does exist to do just what you're saying, enslave you, but there's also a way to get out, which does include the stoppage of, I would say, the releasing, in particular for the male, of the spermatozoa. That's in a bunch of books, esoteric secret books about men should not be ejaculating unless they literally only want to procreate. But this whole for pleasure thing, that every time a man does it, it actually lessens, stop mama, come here, his lifespan. That's hidden secrets. I say everything in this world, turn it upside down. If this world is saying pornography, what's the new thing for men? They said they want you to ejaculate 21 times a month at least for your heart health. I said, oh my God, they really want to kill these men. We're supposed to live a lot longer, basically, is my point. But anyway, back to you, my sweetheart. Okay. Now, with your philosophy, your primary, correct me if I'm wrong, standpoint about being born a slave to the state is that we as humans do not have, we really don't own our bodies because we don't have the right to dispose of our quote unquote personal property, our bodies. Is that correct?
Well, there's three domains of property. You, like, according to John Locke, you own your person, you own your property. I mean, you own your estate, and you own your liberty. And so, what my book argues is that we don't have disposal rights of either any of these three domains. We don't own our persons. We don't have disposal rights of our person. We don't have disposal rights over our property, and we don't have disposal rights of our liberty. That basically the state has commandeered all three of these domains, which creates a system of total enslavement. And it's based on the principle of self-ownership. If you don't own your life, then you can't own anything. You can't have rights. You can't own property. And I just had this glaring omission because I assumed that if I could prove that people don't own their lives, they would actually see this as a problem. But there's been a few people who have read it, and they do understand that we don't own our lives, and they're okay with it. I had someone explicitly tell me that, and I'm just like, wow, I did not know that people were already aware that they were slaves, and they were okay with it.
Yes. So also, that's beautiful. And it can be jarring to come to that. I also believe, again, I know nothing, but I'm also in the game, right? I'm a player. I'm playing the game too, called life. From what I can gather, in the awakening stage, there is an unction or a feeling to want to share it. Tell everyone, wake them up. What you will start to realize is ignorance is bliss. Remember the movie The Matrix? Cyrus, he was awake too, and he hated it. He was like, plug me back in. This steak, I know it ain't real, but it sure is good. So, for sure. But for those of us who do wake up, it is important that we share the gift that we have, because I believe that when we do that, I believe your work will outlast your existence, right? You have written this masterpiece and you have put it out into the world. You have absolutely no intentions of returning through your gene pool which some people call reincarnation, whether you believe it or not, or whatever, however. But you can only get here because the people before you, your mamas and your daddies, had sex, right?
Right.
If we don't know nothing else, we don't have to believe in a God or a heaven or hell, nothing else. The only thing we know for sure is that mamas and daddies had sex, and then they made you and they made me. So if you stop that part right there, you can stop the loop that keeps you coming back into a place of ignorance or hell. Let me ask you this. When you discuss the disposal rights, you insist that it be through a licensed medical professional, or at least it seems to be that.
No.
Oh, okay. What is the position? Because my understanding was that it needed to be that, or the alternative that it be violent. And my question was, but what if, again, in having an autonomous existence is you figure it out, you find the pharmakeia, you find the herb people, and you go to the place to have your peaceful exit, and you don't involve the state at all. You don't ask for someone with a license to stamp help or anything. What say you to that?
That's correct. I'm an anarchist. I don't believe in occupational licenses. So the American Medical Association is the one who criminalized the right to medical assistance in the first place. At least they lobbied for it. They're the ones who funded that whole campaign. By the way, the American Medical Association is also the institution who is responsible for lobbying to have women's abortion rights taken from them. Under common law, it wasn't abortion, but you had a natural right to infanticide, which all animals, well, not all animals, but most animal or mammal species do engage in infanticide. So it is a natural right that predates the state. So if you have a natural right to infanticide, then the corollary would be that you have a right to an abortion. It is your body. Although a fetus has a right to live, it does not have a right to live in someone else's body. If the state is going to force you to be an incubator for a potential human being against your will, then you should be remunerated for that. So my position is I'm advocating for the right to a stateless death. I want it decriminalized. I don't support occupational licensing. So the fact that they gave themselves a monopoly over the practice of medicine, and then they want to use that position to say, oh, well, now that we have a monopoly, if our doctors assist in that, then that's harming them. That goes against the Hippocratic Oath. No, you got this completely out of order. You gave yourself a monopoly, and now you want to act like you're protecting the people within that monopoly. First of all, it should be left to the free market, right? You should be able to hire anyone you want to assist you, because there's a lot of overreach within these statutes that criminalize medical assistance. It's not just medical assistance. They criminalize any assistance, any emotional support. If you encourage someone, if you give them information, if you transport them to a facility, all of those things are criminal. It's not just protecting the medical industry. So if I want to hire anybody who's able to assist me, if I want to hire a drug dealer down the street who has the pill, I should be able to do that. If I give consent, if I own my life, that should be my right. And the state has no legitimate authority to interfere with that private contract.
Yes. Okay. Ooh, I love it. I love that. Yes. You better give the state hell. So let's go back in time a little bit. As you mentioned, the American Medical Association, of course, a lot of us know about the Rockefellers, who literally overtook all of medicine, commodified it, called real medicine, witch doctory, and all of that, and took everything away. What's most interesting about that is that when you look at usury, the advent of quote unquote the birth certificate, what birth means, it means to be birthed like a ship and a dock, you are being docked. And then that certificate with your imprint is your manifest. Your parents are the first, what they call informants. You call them, what do you call parents?
The first
enslavers.
And in the book, I call them life enslavers.
The first life enslavers, yes. I took what I said, oh shit now. The first life enslavers. And I said, well, he's not far off, because in the UCC and everything is commerce, it's your parents. They literally, the name is pay rents. They pay rent. They're renting. They pay rent. They are the informant. They give you up. When they sign for that quote unquote certificate of birth, they can opt out of that. So when the state took over and said, hey, you must now give birth in our facility. Why? Because they're taking your life essence from the very beginning of your existence in something called your placenta. It's very rare that a woman even knows to ask and take her placenta. They take that placenta, so that's your beginning. That's your actual spaceship. That's your, right? That's your tree of life you came in. I don't know if you've ever seen a placenta, but I've given birth twice, and I'm telling you, it looks just like a tree of life, okay?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I never understood what that pair rent means. Like, what is that actually? Who are they renting? Like, how does that actually work?
The child, because genetically, so when you do not exercise, so the word government is to govern the mind. When you come here and you don't figure out that you are supposed to control the lower half of your life from your waist down, and you are not supposed to just be ejaculating and acting crazy. When you irresponsibly procreate to do it again, that's instant karma right there. So the epigenetically we act in ignorant because they've stolen so much knowledge and wisdom from us. But this is what we used to know. We used to know how to come, what this place was, what it meant to come here, live the life, and how to get out. Now they've created a world within a world, and now we kind of stuck, but now that's breaking down and people are starting to see through it and do these sorts of deep questioning. So what you're renting is the next generation, because you're saying you want to come again, and that you're not willing to do the sacrifice it takes during this lifetime of abstinence.
Okay,
you don't want self-control.
Yeah.
You see, you don't want to control. So esoterically, there's ancient sayings that we are the composition of the last 7 generations on our mother and father's side, basically. That's who and what we are. And then also the body becomes what the life experience that we are having now, and that we are now adding to the gene pool. So whatever you're learning, if you decide, and by some chance it goes back through another generation, everything you know will be mixed in. It's going through. You see what I'm saying? So we are, they call it reincarnation, but it's different. We are just being born again. You feel me?
Right.
Nature shows that, though, right? I had a homestead. Nature shows that nothing is lost here. The trees, the leaves, they died. They didn't go anywhere. They just became compost. They went down. So that's all we are. So to your point, I believe that when they capture the placenta and then they insist on the custody of the body afterwards, and to include the blood, the embalming, and to take the body and harness it and put it in something that will not decompose properly, that is also how they keep you in a next world. You come back into this world because it's not correct. It's not natural. It's not organic. You are literally supposed to decompose back into the earth. You're supposed to be able to get your karma, drama, trauma, what this life is here, pay the debts of your parents, atone for all sins by just living. and coming to terms with what it means to be alive and coming to terms with that you committed the ultimate sin. Why? When you were out here busting nuts and not thinking about what you were potentially creating. And now back to your point, because now I'm gonna draw you to your other point, which you said fathers are not real.
Oh yeah. They're not.
I didn't even listen to it. I said no, because I'm very clear. I don't want to cross-contaminate my philosophy. So I said, nope, I'm gonna wait till I interview him, honey. I said, oh no. This might be my best friend. I said, who is this man? So please, I'm gonna shut up. So I said a lot. Capture whatever you'd like from that, and then you run with it, sweetheart.
Well, that came from a whole debate I had with a panel of men, and they were basically saying that if they impregnate a woman, that they basically have an interest in that potential child, and if she gets an abortion, that they should be entitled to damages because that child is just as much theirs as it is the mother's. And I was just like, no, that's actually not true. Like, in the state of nature, you don't have an inherent right to be a father. Like if you pregnate a woman, especially if you weren't not married to her, that is not your baby. That is her baby. If you're married to, that it's a legal construct to where if you're married, there's a presumption that it is your child. But absent a marital contract, it is not your child. Of course, there are laws, but you would there would basically be no way to prove paternity outside of modernity, outside of modern technology and paternity tests. So you would not have a natural right to be a father. It would have to be based on the consent of the mother allowing you to be the father and you claiming that child is yours. But you don't have a natural right to force a woman to carry your baby, especially when you're not even married to her. You're on mute.
Baby. No, I know I was. I was on mute on purpose because I was like, honey, because I was amen so hard. I was like, So again, back to us being in a world within a world. The construct not only of marriage, but looking at the broader picture of just what is occurring for women as a whole. Why the insistence that women be tied down to one man and that she be told she must get married very early and that she must start procreating very quickly and that she needs to have as many children as possible? Why does the state now and has been actively working to lower the laws of age of consent in different states, literally getting lower and lower to a child, even though they know the mind, the brain isn't even fully developed to the age of 25, but it doesn't matter. They don't care. They don't want women to have the ability to abort a fetus because they say that's pro-life, but yet they want to take your grown, living, walking son and send him off to war, kill his grown alive ass. You see, so it's all a scam. And as a woman, mama's baby, daddy's maybe. If I have sex with you and I leave and I never tell you, you don't know a goddamn thing. What the hell is he talking about? See, all this marriage and that's them is construct. It's not real. If I am pregnant, I am the only one who fucking knows it for sure. Therefore, that's why this world works so hard to convince a woman that she must tell every goddamn thing to this man. No, there is no such thing as paternity. It's a myth. It is the invention of paternity that has led to the laws that have enslaved women now. So. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, fatherhood is a total construct, and it is at the behest, as you said, and the consent of the women. Period. There's a woman right now in Georgia that is not allowed to give birth, or she is, pardon me, being forced, or they're trying with a judge, 4 or 5 people. They got this lady, big old black lady, in labor with a judge right now because she is refusing a C-section. And do you know the state has taken control? The state is saying what she can and cannot do with this baby that's beating within her body. Right this second, it's happening right now. So, anyway, you mentioned Black people in particular ought not, or at least it ought to be argued that Black people in particular ought to very much consider being anti-natalist. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And now we know the why, right? It's basic in terms of we seem to be disproportionately What would you say are the percentage of men anti-natalist thinkers and writers, and white men in particular, as opposed to any other group? And I'm asking that because it seems to be that the people at the top of the food chain, i.e. men, of all, mostly Europeans, seem to be the loudest complainers and articulators of this problem, and they don't give birth to anybody. Like they don't even suffer birthing. They don't even know what it's like to, you know what I mean? There's a particular strain of life. Anyway, I could go on and on about what it means to be a mother, and the disconnection, how men can send children to war is because they don't carry the life within their bodies. They don't know what that feels like. They don't know what it is. They don't know what it means to have your breast engorged and they don't know none of that. They don't know none of that, because mothers really tell children two laws in every language on the planet: stop fighting and share. Right, with the siblings. Nothing drives a mother crazy when their babies start doing that. Stop fighting. And also share, like it's a thing. So again, let me get off my side quest. When you say Black people in particular, because I definitely believe that we are the first people that knew this knowledge, that this place is this is a way station. This isn't in the Matrix, it tells you that. The Matrix tells you this is a trace station. This is a way station between another world. As an anarchist, and this is not about advice, this is not what I'm talking about. And as you said, a millennial, what would you say, or what do you propose, because I haven't got that far in the book, outside of, and do you advocate for veganism for animals? Because I've seen that up on your channel. I just have never engaged in the conversation. Again, I try pardon me, not cross-contaminate my philosophies. But anyway, as an anarchist, what do you think about that? And yeah. My brain, I got lost a little bit, my puppy, and then also got lost. Not just veganism, procreation, so basically decriminalization. But if you know that that's not going to happen because the system is here to basically just do that, meaning enslave flesh, then what are practical things that humans can do outside of no advice? I'm talking about just as existing.
Well,
what would you say? Mm-hmm.
I recognize they're unlikely to decriminalize it, but my whole purpose is to expose this illegitimacy, to say that you are here involuntarily when other people expect you to perform these duties that you did not voluntarily accept, then those duties are illegitimate. So the same way they don't have any duties to you because they don't care for you, as every man for himself, you don't owe any duty to them. When they ask you to support their causes, if they want you to remain enslaved, they want you to. I was trying to get away from talking about veganism just because people get triggered, and I know how people are sensitive about that topic. And it's like every time I talk about it, I lose subscribers. So I don't know. I'm just saying, if you want me to support your cause, you need to support mine. You don't get to say that I should change my diet and then you get to continue to procreate. That whole, anyway, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I think that they're unlikely to decriminalize it, but I'm trying to form a nonprofit, by the way, to start lobbying to decriminalize it. But I have a 5 resistant front to expose its illegitimacy. I don't think it's necessarily going to work, but my whole thing is just to expose it. But the objective of life abolitionism is to dismantle the state through demographic collapse, that people stop procreating, the birth rates decline to a level that the state cannot sustain itself. And basically it holds the state accountable, because the only leverage you're going to have it's not going to be your labor anymore, because they're replacing you with AI. So even though they don't need laborers, they still need consumers. So the state cannot exist without human beings, so without human resources. So you need to stop procreating and then use that as leverage. These countries where they have declining birth rates, the state is actually more responsive to their needs. They do provide better services, quality of life. They have healthcare and education and good environments to raise. I'm not saying that they should have children, but if you are going to procreate, at least don't enslave your children to the state without making a demand. You're just giving it a. It's just like if you want a plantation. Why would you willingly give your master some children so they can enslave, and you didn't even like? It doesn't make any sense. You gave up the one leverage. I know women were forced to have children. I understand that, but some of them did it on purpose, I guess. I don't understand that whole way of thinking. And I'm also trying to work with another anti-natalist to get things done in another country. Hopefully I can help her with her website, and then we can start strategizing on how to make this happen. But basically, we're going to have to attack this from every angle. I don't think a one approach is going to work. We have to take a multi-approach response to this problem. And part of it is educating people. But aside from that, I think that we have to basically trace it to its root, which is the American Medical Association. Because I was under the assumption that it came from the Supreme Court, that the Supreme Court is the institution responsible for this. No, it came from the American Medical Association. So we need to hold all these people accountable. We need to hold parents accountable. We need to hold the state accountable. And then I also include in my book about jury notification. So if someone does assist someone, then the jury should notify. It only takes one person to notify them. So if I educate people and they know about this and they know that it is illegitimate to force people to live against their will, then it only takes one juror to notify the entire jury. I'm sure you probably already know about jury notification. I talk about civil disobedience. And so, yeah, if once you get to chapter 11, I do present some very specific solutions.
Excellent. I'm old enough to remember Dr. Kevorkian. Do you remember hearing about him?
Yes, I do. I mean, I was too young to understand it at the time, but I've gone back and looked at some of his content, and I'm just like, wow, this guy was the GOAT.
Yeah, it was real time in my existence. And if you don't know, folks, Dr. Kevorkian, you can look him up, famous physician. He went to trial for assisted helpage with people wanting to have humane exits out of their human coil. I believe he was in the Pacific Northwest, like Washington, Seattle, something like that. But yeah, it went on and on. It was fascinating. I also liked how you break down how the state will not allow you to have the exit you want. I mean, you can, of course, you can do whatever you want. Let me just say that. But like you said, they want to criminalize it, and or you can't any help, and it's difficult, right? It's just not easy. It is not easy. As they say, that once the animation is inside the flesh, it's very difficult to get it out. It don't necessarily do this. But in the event that you can get yourself to that point, for whatever reason, I noticed I like how you broke it down, that the state is only allowing it under these very strict, dire circumstances. Like you got to be with some terminal illness. Basically, it's like they can't expunge anything left out of you, so you can go ahead.
Right. As soon as you become useless, then they're going to let you die. But as long as you're valuable to everybody else, as long as they can extract, then they don't want you to have that right.
Yes. May I ask what portion of the United States are you more so? And the reason I'm asking it, or grow up, are you familiar with? Are you more of a? Because I grew up in California, but then I also lived in the. Oh, but you were in the military, so you probably lived all over. Good. Yeah.
Right.
So, have you traveled outside of the United States?
I've only been to Canada.
Okay, fair enough. That's good enough. The reason I ask is traveling outside of the United States, and I'm not saying just to Mexico or to some islands. No. I'm saying you have to come to Europe. You have to come to Asia, Southeast Asia, or whatever. Go somewhere. You gotta go to the continent of Africa. You got Canada, which is the same continent, but right up the road, because it's a different system. But that helps so much with breaking the illusion, the propagandized bubble that Americans tend to be in about how great their country is. And the reason why I asked where you were, or what you were familiar with logistically, is, for instance, my last existence in the States was in the Carolinas, I-95, and it is and always seems to be in a constant state of construction. When I lived in New York City, same thing. California, same thing. Atlanta, it just everywhere. There's nothing. There are nice areas, and some of it is lovely, like Spaghetti Junction, Atlanta. I'm not saying it's all trash, but my point is, America seems to always be in a state of unrest and not being solid and complete construction, and it's not even good construction. And whereas juxtapose it, I mean, the airports are crappy, but you don't know they're crappy because this is all you know. But when you leave and you get an opportunity to see how excellent these other countries' infrastructures are, and I'm not bullcrapping, I mean everything from the rooter to the tutor, so well maintained, so pristine, so much more larger than ours, less crowded, more manned. it will make you lose your mind. You're trying to understand what the hell is happening. I'm old enough to be able to see, and now the rest of the world, that the system is doing just what it does. It's extracting, stealing the resources from the people there, and literally funds everybody else. Until you have been, and I've been to 7, 8, 9, and that ain't saying much because Europe is small, European countries now, and now a couple Southeast Asian countries. Everywhere, and I'm not talking about some, everywhere is better than America. Do you hear me? Everywhere is better than America. Now, I'm not talking about the most devastating places, but even the economically struggling places, even when I lived in Mexico, the quality of the life of the people living there is so much better. To your point, why? Because these people are not struggling over just the basics, because the state provides for just the basics. The parents, the parents, the state goes into contract with you and says, hey, the baby's here now. We're going to make sure that you don't have to struggle for diapers, food, clothing. You see what I'm saying? Right. I grew up the youngest of 7 from a mother who grew up in foster care because my grandmother had died at age 26 when my mother was 6. So I had abject poverty of an intense level. I watched my mother struggle to feed us on a level that did not make any sense. I remember literally starving as a child, or at least feeling like I was starving. You feel me? But to be like, say what I'm saying here, I live in Vietnam now. Nobody, nowhere. It's a hunger is what it's insane. It's insane. If you go to Europe, for instance, and I mean, just go to Europe. I don't care. Pick a country. Germany, the UK. Don't believe the hype of what they're talking about. Just go. It's so beautiful. You're going to see everybody's got brand new shoes, beautiful jackets, lovely bags, hats, gloves, scarves. Everything is so much cheaper. The quality. We have no idea. Americans have been so effing lied to. And then when you tie that to the esoteric foundings of America and what they wrote all those years ago about what this place, what they were going to make it, and they did. It's a big old marketplace, so they can extract, and they do it. The rest of the world, other than the African countries and the countries where they're extracting the resources from, everybody else is pretty much living very well. They are. Now, don't say that everything's not a utopia, because wherever this European has been, he's left hell, okay? Vietnam, Thailand, there's a whole sex industry that they've created because of war, right? So that exists. But I'm talking about these, whether socialist, communist, the alternative to the capitalist societies, the people seem to be living very much better. I'm not advocating for it. I'm just telling you what the live life of the people is. You see, they're in their own matrix as well. So they don't see a problem. They're like, well, we have a house. Nobody's going to ever take it. Nobody can ever take it from them. They own it. It's theirs.
So you actually live in Vietnam?
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's where I am.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I need to go back and listen to some of your videos, because I saw some, but I wasn't sure whether you were visiting or, yeah. So that's very interesting.
No, when I started to really understand, I came across the knowledge. I first heard about the UCC in 2010, believe it or not. A lady from Canada, she was online anyway. I learned about that in fluoride, and I ain't messed with fluoride since. But anyway, but it took me several years to really work it through. And long story less long, 2022 is where I really had my breaking point. I worked a very lucrative corporate job. Everybody knows that. I had made ridiculous amounts of money. Nobody bothered me to live in my office. I was living the Negro American dream on every level. Suburban house, several, just all the teens, all the shit. And I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it. And I heard so clear, get the F out. Like, and I mean, you leave. And I first went to Mexico. I tell people I crashed my life, but it was necessary. Or I could hear clearly the alternative was to die. I could have probably still been in my body, but I was gonna die. I was never gonna, yeah. So Mexico first, then I returned to the States after 6 months, and because I had sold my house before I went to Mexico and bought a couple of acres in the Carolinas. When I returned from Mexico, that's when I spent the next year and a half getting my homestead together. So then I lived on my land. I raised chickens and grew my own vegetables and all the things. I car camped over the United States. I had a blast. I ain't gonna lie, travel. Oh, I love to drive. So I've driven everywhere in the United States. But then I was like, all right, I'm ready to go. Like, I could hear that even more. Like, you need to get out of the United States. Like, not a little bit. Like, go. And I heard very well, and I just started researching. I found it, and I'm in a beautiful coastal town. Oh my God. The reason why I agreed to do your interview, even on short notice, if you all don't know, and I'm loopy, I woke up at 3:30 in the morning for me. I'm going to Thailand. I'm sleepy. Thailand for me tomorrow. So, and the reason I say that is Vietnam does not offer what's called a long-term visa as of yet. So you have to do what's called a visa run, which just means you need to leave the country and re-enter before your 90 days are up. I don't mind because I'll just go visit another country. Well, Thailand's my most favorite thus far. And the food is amazing. It's very much like Amsterdam in terms of the weed and the coffee shop culture. I love that. I love coffee shop. I tell people I couldn't wait to quit my corporate job so I could smoke weed every day. But yeah, economically, Vietnam is top tier. There's so many videos telling people that. I've said it several times. I tell people there's videos showing that you can live in Vietnam easily for with $700 a month. People do that. I don't do that. I'm a Leo, and I'm a woman, honey, of a particular age, and I'm a Gen X. I was born in '68. I will not spare myself anything. So yeah, I live very well, and I have a pet. So 1,500, you see, is what it takes for me. But yeah, it's.
But you still run your business from the United States, is that correct?
No, I retired. I resigned. I literally quit. I just quit. I quit. I cashed out all my money. I quit. Like I said, I did a whole different thing.
Okay.
So I did a whole different thing. Plus, I'm of a particular age, and I tell people, as an American, I dipped in the military at age 16. I graduated at 17, and then I went on in. I've been working my whole life, and it don't cost you much to live here. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. I even broke it down that even if you add in, and I do add in the visa runs, because I think that's important to put in there. Because for me, I don't get on buses. I mean, I will. I'm not above that. I'm not saying that. But I'm not. I don't want to do a visa one where I get on a bus, go for 18 hours to Cambodia. That ain't fun for me. I'm gonna do like I'm gonna do. I'm going to Thailand for 3 weeks. You see what I'm saying? she'll be here at her puppy hotel. I'll go to Thailand and eat the best food in the world in Thailand. I'll do a little bit of shopping. They're having the big water gun festival there. I'll have myself a ball. I'll smoke all the good weed, Lord have mercy, all day long. And you see what I'm saying? So, yeah. And just come back. And then I'll reapply and I'll then have another 30-day visa. And then I have an apartment now. Pardon me. Yeah, rents here are, if you pay over 300 US American dollars for rent, it's because you want to live right up on the damn beach. Like I'm in a beach town, but I'm not up on the beach. I gotta take a bike, which is about $1. Excuse me. Excuse me. And
bike is $1?
A bike.
Oh, a bike. Okay.
A bike taxi, a Grab. Yeah. A flight from here to Thailand, which is 2 hours direct on Air Asia. Thai Asia is basically 200, 180, 190. Oh, also, everybody's airlines are so fucking good, y'all. The airports and the airlines and how well everything is going to blow your mind so much. Like, I try and prepare people, and I also tell people, there's a couple of ways I tell people to get here. Because the biggest barrier, and again, America is such an asshole. They make the effing plane ticket from America to get to goddamn Southeast Asia a grip. You hear me? They do that on purpose. They do that on effing purpose. Because they know you don't know shit about it. You don't want to take no 24-hour damn flight. And who the hell wants to pay damn near $1,000 or more for nobody? But they know when you get your ass over here, you're gonna live so fucking well, okay? So well, that goddamn plane. Listen, I missed my flight to Frankfurt. I basically lost like $1,500, damn near basically 2,000, because a Greyhound got it. There was a wreck and the Greyhound was stranded, and I mean we were stuck for like damn near 24 hours on the bus. But anyway, I didn't give a shit once I got here, is my point. Once I got here, I would argue that Americans haven't even exhaled properly yet. Americans have not lived in a place where violence is not imminent all the time, everywhere. There's no fear of having a traffic accident. Even on the back of a motorbike, where there's lots of motorbikes and everybody's going, I mean, they're not breaking any laws, they're not going fast. I mean, they're going a good little way. But somebody's driving, the lady might have a baby here, a baby on the back. Everybody, they're so aware of each other. You can feel the kindness and the consideration just in the atmosphere. I'm telling you, that place is hell. America is hell. Get out. I tell you, get the fuck out. Take 5,000. So I did this when I first did Mexico. If you don't want to do Southeast Asia first, listen, don't do it. It's okay. If you don't have that kind of money, I did Playa del Carmen first. It's a really good landing place to leave America. One, Playa del Carmen is party town, fun. So many expats there. You're going to feel right at home. You can also $400 have a very nice 2-bedroom. Anyway, Mexico is lovely. You can do that. And the plane ticket is boom, what, $300-400? But get out. If you don't get out and see how far your dollar can go, feel the atmosphere that is not full of violence. Yeah.
And I love it. I
Mm-hmm.
love Vietnamese food, so that's a plus also.
Honey, honey. And if you love Vietnamese food, you probably love Thai food. Thai food is even better. You will love it. For okay, to eat here, okay, look, this is fresh juice. When I say fresh juice, I watched a lady juice it in front of me. Okay. This, let me get my calculator because I don't want to exaggerate. There's no need to do that. Let me turn on my little converter here. So everybody probably already knows this, but on your calculator, you can just hit the little thing up there and it will hit convert and you can pick what country or denomination. So let's say I put 40,000 dong. That's $1.52. So that's 40,000. If I go out to eat, let me see, 10, let me tell you right now. Oh, when I really want to ball out, I'll go to the beach and to rent one of the chairs, the recliner chairs with the towel with the umbrella is 150. But to be on the front row, you gotta, they don't like to break them up. When I really want to ball out, I will go rent both them goddamn chairs, which means I'm gonna pay 300 for that chair. I'm gonna get at least 5 beers in the course of 8 or 9 hours because I'm gonna get there like 7 in the morning. I'm not leaving till 6 p.m. Okay, that's why I'm crispy like a piece of bacon now. I love it. That's another $100. So this is what, 3, 4, and I'm going to say 500. Let's say I'm just act a fool 5 on in a day, which never happens. I mean, well, it might. Yesterday I did all kind of stuff. 19 US American dollars. Okay. Oh, I got one better for you. I had a mani-pedi last night, an hour and a half deep tissue massage, and I know exactly, and I paid with my credit card, my debit card. So they put a little 3%, which was nothing. This is literally the amount, $783,000, which was $29.76, less than 30. Listen to what I just said. I got a mani-pedi. I'm talking about, look at my cuticles. And the way they do, the care, ain't nobody harshly hurting you. It's so gentle. That 90, I didn't say 60 minutes. I said 90, an hour and a half. And I didn't say just no Swedish. I said I paid for a deep tissue, which is the high end. Came to less than 30 American dollars. You can stretch the hell out of a dollar here. So many expats here from all over the world. Now, I live again at the beach. So I'm populated by mostly Russians in the city where I live. There used to be a Russian military base here. So anyway, I could go on and on about why Vietnam is, I think, the #1 destination for retirees or anybody who can sustain themselves with at least, and I'm going to say at least 1,500, but I'm going to say 2,000 if you're an American who likes things and you like to fly to other places because you can. Again, I can take a ticket from here to Malaysia for $50 if I want to. Anyway, I could go on and on, y'all. I could go on and on. And I will, because this is a beautiful country. You can't even imagine how gorgeous it is. Right out my window, right there's nothing but mountains. Look at like palm trees. Oh my God. Downstairs is a cafe. Now I got this because I was out last night, but guess what? I can just get on my elevator, go down 1 floor, and have them squeeze me fresh juice. I can do that. Or make me a coconut smoothie, which is my favorite, or the Vietnamese coffee. Oh my God. So I encourage Americans, get the hell out of America. That's the best $1,500 you're ever gonna. You can hear both voices on D channel. What that mean? You can hear both voices on D channel. Let me turn this off. Hold on.
Okay, well, that sounds like a good idea. Maybe I need to look into that. I do have some money. I just don't know how I would take care of myself after, I get there. But I do have enough. I can afford to do it. I just need to come up with a plan.
Well, I can help you. It's super easy. And literally, so it depends on whatever your residual, if you have any, is. The residual, if you have any, is, meaning the residual income. However, most folks can, and I've seen it done. Let's see, boom, I do it right here. Boom, I'll tell you right now. Most folks will tell you 5,000 American dollars is more than enough to get you started. It's enough to keep you good to go for a couple years to figure it out. Like, you can learn to generate, $500 to $1,000 a month somehow. I don't know. I love when people ask me what I do for money, which, I hate to get that question because it's like, what? But I usually be like, I say the P word. I have a vulgar mouth. I won't do that to you, but
No, I'm okay with it. I have my own stories.
But yeah, it's not difficult. The way America is set up is so difficult. America is so insane. They make shit so hard here, and even in Mexico. You can get an apartment the same day. There's none of that bullshit. You go, you see, you give them the money, you sign the thing, and that's it. They show up, they get the money, and that's it. And that's all. Oh, yeah. So I've just been in too many countries now. I thought it was bad when I was in Mexico, but now that I've been in all these other countries, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. 5,000 American dollars. If you had like 10, I've been telling everybody, get out of them damn 401ks. Why? Here's the thing about America, right? This is the way I did the math. I swear to God, this is what I did, y'all. I was a manager, so even at the best, I could only get 3 weeks paid vacation. And my corporation 1 year gave us an additional 3 days of personal time off, and then they took it back the next year. Okay. I did the math on what 3 weeks of time was for me and how that was the only time I was and then I also took Sundays, because we were always closed Sundays. We were closed Good Friday, Christmas Eve. I literally took every day that we were allowed off, and also I was off every Wednesday. I took all those days, I calculated it, and I wrote them down, and I looked at how many fucking days those were. Literally, quote unquote, this company was allowing me freedom. And I'm like, oh my God, they're paying me to enslave my goddamn self, to be stuck in this box. And they're literally using my life force. I can't get no sunshine. I can't eat well. I can't walk. I'm here for 12. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my, I'm an alcoholic. I can't cope unless I drink 3, 4, 5 beers a night. Like, what's going on? I don't care if they pay me whatever the hell. I remember telling my ex-husband, I said, I've noticed that I look at my account when I get paid. I used to get paid 3 times a month. Well, they changed. Well, yeah, 3 times a month. But the big one is the commission check. I used to work for Ford, by the way. I would see that commission check come in, and I'd get excited, especially when we had a banger ass month. We would be so goddamn excited to see that check. It'd be anywhere from 8,000 to 15,000. I'd be like, goddamn, can't wait. And then within fucking 21 goddamn days, do you know damn near 3/3 of it was gone. And I was be like, how does $8,000 or $10,000 just come in and just go? You know how? Because I just had a bunch of shit. And nobody, not my husband, not my son or my daughter, or nobody had to pay no cars. Nobody was paying for no cell phones, no insurance, no nothing. Why? Because it just all came in. It just all went out. You know what I mean? Just everybody was living so well. But not me. Everybody was not. I was like, oh, what happens if you just stop? My own life force was like, girl, you know how many overweight, middle-aged Black women just dropped the fuck dead? Your Black ass will just drop dead. And they will be so sad. They're going to be like, Miss D, we love her. She was here for years. We love her. She was the best. And these motherfuckers still going to open on Monday. They going to have a sale on these F-150s, baby. They're going to have another finance manager in there. You hear me? I said, get out, and I got my ass out. And honey, I've been living my best life ever since. Has it been easy? No. When I told every creditor to kiss my Black fucking ass. That's what the UCC will do for you. Them credit cards, oh yes, you can. Yes, you can. You tell them kiss your monkey ass. That was the best. I'm telling you, God damn it. When you find out what the power of no is in this realm and how to exercise your real autonomy, your freedom, how to move from the public into the private, because the people who are creating these laws and these scripts and these things, they're following a whole nother fucking rule book.
What time did you say it is where you are right now?
6:22 a.m. I'm 12 hours exactly from Eastern Standard Time. So what time is that for you, baby?
It is 6:22 at night.
Oh, okay. So you are Eastern Standard Time then for me, not Central.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. That's meaning it's easier for me to calculate. I put it in 4 p.m. It was a mess, but anyway. So it was 5 for me. So was it 5 for you when we got on?
Yeah. It was 5 when we started.
Oh, see, so I did the math. The math was wrong. I thought it was supposed to be 4. Well, I'm glad I would have not made it because I would have been sleep. But yes, 12 hours.
Because I'm going to be doing a live stream on my channel talking about anarchy and living off the grid. I actually pushed it back, but I don't know anything about living off the grid, but I'm hoping other people have some insight on that. I don't know if you have other plans, but
yeah, I would love to join you. Send me the link. Yeah, man. That's what I did. I really had a dream, and I still do. I have a homestead still in the Carolinas. It's not fully off grid, but I did work to make it. I had a partner who was non-participatory in my dreams. Let me just say that. So after 30 years of marriage and raising the children, because I didn't want to raise my little Black children to be statistics, and I had to break the epigenetic chain, that's when I went ahead and crashed my life. But the awakening did include purchasing 2 acres, selling my house, letting go of the death note called a mortgage. It's very important people come out of those if you know how to come out of your mortgage. Or I was a mortgage loan officer for many years, and then I was a finance manager for many years. So I do know what I'm talking about. But don't take my advice on that. But also there's ways to move your shit out of private if you can. And then if you still want to own it and you have some equity, you can shift it into a trust and then just utilize the equity, as opposed to maintaining that death note, because even the interest you're writing off is not as advantageous as not having to fuck around with a mortgage. Anyway, and also there's ways to come out of that mortgage. UCC, there is a way to come out of that mortgage. You can't accept that mortgage document, but you got to know how to do it. Anyway, and I'm not a lawyer anyway, but there's a path. There is a path. That and the credit cards for sure. Homesteading or living off the grid. I'm such an advocate of that for people. I really am. I had chickens. I know how to, I learned how to grow my own food. So yeah, I would love to talk about gardening, how to not be afraid. I didn't know how to do any of it, but I trusted my intuition. I trusted my blood. The blood remembers. I literally heard my ancestors say, if you will just watch some videos. I literally heard, watch a couple of gardening videos, just do what it says. And I swear to Bob, I've documented my it's all on my channel. I need to unprivate a bunch of videos, but yeah, I from knowing nothing to killing plants to look to this is my plant. Not only is this my plant here, which people who have been here for years know, honey, is a whole fucking miracle. I've even split it off and got some more growing because I'm gonna go get some dirt. This is all the stuff I learned following my intuition and that leaning, that pulling. Even if you don't know anything about living off grid, the fact that you want to know about it is your way. You see what I'm saying? The fact that you are learning about it is the key. That's the key. And honey, coming off grid over here, see, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for friends and Nebuchadnezzar riders. You know what I mean? People who like, you know, I'm not big on depending on each other necessarily in an obligatory way, because that always leads to nonsense. But I am very big on the awaken having a form of small communities, satellite communities, where people exchange information on, okay, this is where land is, this is where resources are, this is where water is, this is where chickens are. Well, how do we quail eggs? This is how these are the herbs, these are the vegetables, this is how we plant them, this is how we live, this is how we create the electricity. You know what I mean? Like, I have videos on my Patreon. When I first bought my 2 acres, I bought a tiny house. I literally tried to convince my ex-husband, who was a truck driver, that all we needed to do was renovate the little tiny house and we could drive around in the truck together. And I could film and do you know that man poo-pooed that? And I mean, at the time, we probably had liquid, I mean, ridiculous, a couple 100,000. You know, it wasn't even a problem. It was just a matter of not having anybody see the vision. So when you brought that, I'm like, yes, this is exactly what the people we ought to do. You should be doing it. In any way that you can do it, do it. States, I'm a big advocate. I know a lot of people are moving to Texas, but I'm still going to advocate for Tennessee up and down all around. I'm going to advocate for Tennessee. I picked those because, of course, no state tax, but also they're more leaning towards private individuals, which some would call the S word, which we don't use. We are not S citizens. People call them sovereigns. We are not that. That's a movement that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. That's, again, the government loves to put labels because they want to discredit. Whenever the masses get information, we start sharing it and learning how to exit the system. Then they're like, no, that ain't how you do it. Don't do that. Don't work. Let me tell you something about working that system. That is an individual system, and it is all about your intentions and your life force. If you cannot love yourself enough, push yourself enough to do it, believe that you've done it, follow a process that's proven. Yeah. And let it do it. Let it do it. Let it do what it do, and be done with it. And it ought not realistically cost you more than $500. And I mean, that's with classes, templates, learning shit. Because anybody charging more than that is crazy. You don't need that. It's because it don't take much. It just doesn't take much. But anyway, I digress. Oh, hold on. I see comments, Vietnam, private chat. Boom, boom. Okay. Is this your channel you put in the private chat?
Yeah, that's the link to my live stream. I'm going to be starting that in about 30 minutes. So we're going to be talking. I mean, it's kind of like I don't try to over manage my live streams. Anybody can talk about what they want to, but I'm going to be streaming on both of my channels. But it's just, anarchy, the philosophy, living off the grid, how to, become free and you know, and you're more than welcome to come. And I'm sure you have a lot of insight, but that's only if you want to. I don't know if you have time to do that.
I certainly will, my dear. I've loved having this conversation with you, and I hope that we can continue to have them. Again, I love that you are a dynamic new thought leader coming up with the life abolitionism philosophy based on the fact that we have been born into a slave system. And it's one that is deceptive. That's also what makes it something we need to exit. It's deceptive. People are lying to us. There is a grand conspiracy to keep us ignorant of the machinations. And because of that, then all bets are off. All bets are off. You see, I have every right to escape a prison, especially if you are hiding the actual charging document and you fabricated the charges, and you see what I'm saying? And then it's some bullshit. You got me up here on some trucked up charges. You know, because we are in the Truman Show for sure. You know, this requirement. That's another thing you're going to realize when you come out of the United States. You don't have a leaning to as many requirements. America is always big on licenses and rules, and you don't even have all these traffic lights and shit everywhere else. I'm telling you, America's crazy. It's fucking banana nuts, and that's why it doesn't work. The only thing it got going for it is our ability to, and now this is the one thing I won't take from us, because that's what quote unquote the freedom is, to make money. Right? Literally, the poorest America, the poorest of the poor is still richer than the poorest person. That's a fact. Americans are fat. The poor can eat very well if they can get to the resources. So anyway, dear Jay, what would you like to end with? Where can everybody find you and purchase your book and the name of your book? And I got it from Kindle on Amazon.
Okay. The book is called Whose Life Is It? The Moral Debt for Life Enslavement. The book is, well, it was available for free, but I just released the summarized version of it for those who don't want to read the full version of it. And anybody who wants to read that is available for free today. I don't have the link, but just Google the Moral Debt for, no, it's called Whose Life Is It? The Moral Debt for Life Enslavement. And you'll see my channel or my page on Amazon. And so I do talk about it on my channel. I have read all 11 chapters. So if you're not a reader, I don't have an audio book, but you can actually just listen through all those chapters. I do have a playlist for anybody who wants to listen to that. I also have a soundtrack to the book, which is on a separate channel. So a lot of people like that. So yeah, and I'm so grateful that we were finally able to talk, because we've been, corresponding for a while now. So we're finally able to get together. And so hopefully this won't be the last time we pair up.
No, and thank you so much for your time. I'm a little long-winded. I take side quests. I'm sleepy as hell too. So, but thank you for your kindness and your scholarship and your ability to articulate your thoughts and get everything out in a book and give it to the masses. I think that's a beautiful life work. And like I said, long after we're gone, I think that you are at the foremost of doing very powerful, necessary work, and I very much applaud you for that. So thank you for your scholarship, and I look forward to joining you for your live stream soon.
Thank you. And I just have one. Do you mind if I put this on my channel as well?
Go right ahead, sweetheart. I hope that you're streaming it as well. Yeah, you certainly may.
All right. Thank you so much. You have a good day.
Take care, sweetheart.
Yeah, I'll see you in a little bit.
Absolutely. Take care. Ciao.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, everyone. Well, I hope that you all enjoyed that interview. Yeah, so I told you I was going to be doing some interviews, bringing you some of the people that have been inspiring me people that, like I said, are on the cutting edge of working past the construct of whether you call it a matrix, whether you call it the false reality, the world within the world. Many people are awakening to what is this place once we come out of our mommy's hoo-has. Who are these people calling themselves in charge of us, and who are they to have all of these rules about our comings, our goings, and so on and so forth. So I very much appreciate Brother Jay Charles for his scholarship. Please check my description. The link to his channel is there. I am going to definitely go over to his channel. I'm going to put that on my community feed. So I love you all so much. Thank you so much for being here. Please hit the like button, you all, and subscribe to the channel, and look forward to more wonderful souls of people that I have been inspired by, that I will be bringing, that I've made contact with, that have confirmed that they are willing to come on the channel and have a little bit of dialogue. So I love it. You know me, child. I'm D. Ramsey, honey. I done been all the way beyond a red pill, honey. I say most people sitting up still looking at Morpheus trying to see how he balancing them glasses on his nose. They like, that is so fancy. I'm like Neo looking at the thing. Yeah, I'm beyond that red pill. So thank you for joining me. Ciao for now.
What if you could clean your retainer at the touch of a button? No more brushing or